everybody, this is Matthew Movies coming at you with my review of Cabin Fever, the 2002 Eli Roth film that, strangely enough, has already been remade, but that's another story for another day and another video. This movie I thought was absolutely fantastic. I am a big fan of virus films, movies where there's a virus going around that is going to kill people, and you know, movies like Outbreak and Contagion are movies that I enjoy greatly, and this is a virus film, but it's told in a much more horror bend. So instead of being the more dramatic film like the aforementioned flicks, this is a horror flick through and through, and you can definitely tell that Eli Roth is a huge fan of horror movies. There are lots of allusions to previous horror movies in this, and you can definitely tell that he has like a flair for this genre and a love for this genre and throughout, and I think this movie works. I feel like this movie is actually quite underrated. It is not perfect. There are moments of it that I'm like, what? And there's characters that I think are underwhelming, but overall, the core concept of it, and there are moments in it that are so creepy and just get at you at like a guttural level, I think is great. I mean, this movie, for those of you who haven't seen it, stars a group of kids that go to a cabin in the woods. Shockingly enough, it's a horror movie with kids in a cabin in the woods, teenagers I should say, and they go and they're gonna go have a good time. Then all of a sudden somebody enters into their area and he brings a virus with them, and one by one it starts taking them all out in grisly fashion, and they're all trying to stay alive and keep the virus away from them, and it just goes from there. And the main character is played by Ryder Strong, which was something I was like, haha, that's awesome. Sean from Boy Meets World is in a horror flick? That's rad. And I think he does a really good job in it. I mean, because of the fact, for me personally at least, I had an emotional connection to him already. That draws me into the movie earlier than I might have been otherwise, and he is definitely the lead character throughout, and the character that you come to care about the most, and he is the closest thing to a good guy throughout. I mean, he's basically just a good guy, but at the same time, you know, there's a couple questionable moments for sure, but you know, he's a good character, and I think he does a good job in this movie, and of anybody you're rooting for him to survive. And the next top person who you hope makes it through is played by Jordan Ladd, who's the daughter of the legendary actress Cheryl Ladd from the Charlie's Angels, and she plays his kind of romantic interest. She's this girl who's there as well, and she's the most kind of real character other than Ryder Strong's as well. They both feel like real people who, you know, get put into the situation, and they try to make the best of it, and unfortunately they can't in most regards, but you root for them throughout. You really want things to work out for them, and then, you know, the movie goes on. and so the way that the two of them are, I think they have a lot of chemistry with each other, and they are Ryder Strong at the very least very interested in her, and as the film progresses you get the feeling she's interested in him, and the way that whole plays out, I thought was very well done. And then you have Serena Vincent, who kind of plays the other female character. She is kind of like the party girl, and she's there to have a good time, and you get the feeling that, you know, she's very not buttoned down, and is perfectly happy to have a great time, if you know what I'm saying. And I think she does a great job in this movie. When she gets infected, there's this really powerful moment where she's shaving her legs, and she's having a bath and she starts shaving her legs, and at first it just seems like kind of a throwaway moment, but when as the film progresses and it reveals her legs, it's very cringe-inducing and hard to watch, but awesome in that regard. And there's two other male leads. There's this blonde guy who I can't remember the character or the actor's names, but basically he's the guy who's all about himself. As soon as this whole thing starts off, he throws everybody else under the bus. He's not trying to help anybody else out whatsoever. All he cares about is getting through it himself. And to a certain degree, he's a complete dick, but in other regards, when you're watching, you're like, you know, you'd like to think that you'd be more selfless than that, but at the same time, you can completely understand his emotion and why he would be the way he is maybe not as cruel about it as he ends up being, but you know, the guy's just trying to stay alive, and to a certain degree, you can't blame him, and so that makes his whole character arc one of the more interesting ones, and at the same time, you also don't care about him as much as some of the others. So he's an interesting character in that regard. And then the fifth on that is this kind of goofy guy who, I gotta say, of the main characters I care by far the least devout. I mean, he's just kind of, he's just there. I mean, honestly, when watching the movie, you don't really even necessarily understand why the other four would be friends with him. He's not a bad guy. He's just there. And then you have a cameo in this movie by Eli Roth, who he does introduce a lot of the danger to the film. And when he shows up, he just kind of sits around fire with them. He's just talking. It's kind of interesting because there's not that much meaning to his performance necessarily. His character does definitely play a part in the story, but I mean, you feel like he was given a lot more lines and a lot more to do because it was the director and writer, and he was like, I'm gonna give myself a bit of a monologue here. But at the same time, it's also not bad. It doesn't really take away from the film like another moment does later, when all of a sudden you get introduced to this kid who is just so weird. He's just a blonde kid who basically doesn't say anything and starts yelling pancakes and starts doing karate moves and bites one of them and is kicking. It's such a weird moment. I've watched this movie on multiple occasions and I've never understood why that's there, what they're going for. They brought it back in the remake. I don't get it. I just don't get it at all. I think this movie is extremely effective and well done. I like it a lot. Let me know in the comment section below what you think. Those are basically my thoughts on it. Please let me know if you hated it, if you loved it, if you thought it was gross, if you thought it was well written, whatever. Other than that, please hit that like button, hit that share button. It makes it much more likely that other people will come check out this review and let me know what they think, which would be awesome because I love talking to people about movies. And speaking of which, if you're new here or you just haven't done it yet, please hit that notification bell, hit that subscribe button. That way you can find out when I put in a video and come give me your opinion. Aside from all that though, have yourself a good day.